Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
But I'm fascinated by your social media and the little roadie you went on to Sask. Huge crowd at the Blades game. You seem to enjoy. You and I were like a pimp at a picnic in that place back in the day. Not too welcome, but it looks like you had a good time in the Credit Union Center or whatever the hell they're calling it now.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I will say, and we'll laugh at this, like, I think you and I are both really good friends with Steve Hildebrand and know a number of people. Les Lazaruk's obviously close to our heart. But as former voices of the Raiders, we can't cheer for the Blades, right? Like, that's not the way the world works. But I will say it was awesome going into that building. And I think it's been well documented now that some prices around the WHL are getting out of reach in different markets. But what the Blades have been able to do for that $5 deal, the night I was there, it was $5 for a ticket, $5 for a hamburger, and $5 for a beer. And during the stoppage and play, during the TV timeouts, or media timeouts, because there's no actual television there, they were dropping $5 bills towards kids from their little hot air balloon that would kind of float around the arena. So it was cool. They did a masterful job. They announced about, I think it was 66 or 6,700 people that night. It felt like there was 8,000. And the team played well. They jumped out to an early 3-0 lead. Seattle was there. There's obviously some Western Canadian kids, or Prairie kids, I should say, on the T-Birds that added a little bit of intrigue because it was kind of a one-time regular season stop for them. But it was fantastic. Like, it was a really good atmosphere, and hey, I'll admit it, whether I was in PA or whether I was the voice of the Winnipeg Ice, when you went into Saskatoon, there was never really a lot of excitement in that building, but they've done a tremendous job this year kind of getting that going, and the team's obviously playing really well right now.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Me, golf, I don't get golf people, and clearly they don't get me. But I'll send you the video of it. The whole crowd seems stunned. It's Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final. It's an elimination game. We can win it at home and win the Stanley Cup, and you're saying, beep, beep. It was sort of like cowbell. Will Ferrell, Saturday Night Live, just... No. Hit the frickin' thing!
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah. Thank you, Rick Regan. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show on a Tuesday, episode number 1385 of Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show here on the Game Plus television network, but also airing in 32 U.S. states. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun over the next 2 hours. Trust me, as the Moose joins us. He is in the Toronto studio, and we are broadcasting around the world, streaming on YouTube as well, and podcast form most days. Moose, before we get to the quick six show topics, and I'll tell the people, our guests are Scott Laughlin today from SiriusXM NFL Radio, NHL Radio. Scott Laughlin, I listen to him every morning. I listened to him this morning. And Sean Hogan, the executive director of College Hockey Inc., is going to be with us as we continue to go down the rabbit hole of the NCAA college hockey, junior hockey wars. But I want to tell you a funny story. You know how I've often said to you that the lady, Yvonne, that's the receptionist in our office tower here, which I can't wait to show you, the Sanctuary Suites, and she reminds me of my mom, very particular about her appearance. She would classify as a senior, there's no doubt, and she loves her sports. I think it might be my mom, because I was just having a swig of coffee here, and I'm going to tell you what. I went up there and I said, Yvonne, can I steal some coffee from you? And she's like, yes, but don't tell all the other tenants because they'll all be coming for coffee. Just today, because I was running a little behind. She's like, that's good. And she's like, what are your plans for Thanksgiving? Everybody's getting really excited, Darren, about Thanksgiving down here. And that includes me. There's no doubt. I said that we're going to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse for their annual turkey supper that they have. And she goes, well, I got to work on Friday, so I'm going to be here on Friday. And I said, me too. And she says, well, then you can come up and help me put up the Christmas decoration. Judy Pedersen lives. You can come help me. Is Paula, was that something Paula would say? Is that something Paula would say?
Yeah.
You can come help me.
That's pretty good. I like that. Well, if you're going to be around, you're going to come and help. Yeah, I'll see.
That's exactly it.
You're going to do it. You have to do it now. In commercial breaks, before the show, after the show, till those Christmas decorations are up. Right?
Hey, I got this a lot when I was back in Canada, by the way, in October for the Wolseley event and earlier this month for the Grey Cup. Everybody, you just work 2 hours a day. You only work 2 hours a day, so you got lots of time. Yeah, that's it. We just roll in. Others are finding out in this business what it is like that try to just roll in on show hours. It ain't going too well for them, but it's going great for us. Can you guys hit the quick six show horn, please? And we will go from son of a gun. We'll have big fun over the next 2 hours. It's a lot of hockey and a little football. I got a ton of very tantalizing topics to get to today, Moose. To get it different than normal. As you know, you and I were having a great pre-show conversation. I wasn't really ready for it to end, but it's just kind of continued here. 11 games last night in the NHL. I beat you in the sport betting. I'm sure you are aware of that, but we both largely sucked. I had 5 of 11 games right. You had 4 of 11 games right. Did you track that? Were you paying attention? Did you notice we both took it?
Yeah, I knew I took it on the chin, and at one point I'm like, I lost. I don't know how many, by how much, but I'm like, I am getting steamrolled tonight. I got lucky on a couple. Yeah, it was a good night.
I finally won one. My God! But the thing is, it's the way my brain works. And yeah, do I walk to my own beat? No doubt. But it's a good beat. It's just different from everybody else's. When I went to the Grey Cup, I had to solely focus on the CFL for 4 or 5 days to be successful in that. And I sucked in my NHL pick. But now I'm back in Florida. I'm going to the games. I'm paying attention. And now the Phoenix rises again. So I'll tell you a couple of the highlights, and I'll get to the real fun stuff here in a second. Number one, Connor Hellebuck made a season-high 43 saves, and the Winnipeg Jets beat the Minnesota Wild 4-1 in a game between two of the Western Conference's best teams. And Brady Tkachuk's power play winner came early in the third as the Ottawa Senators held on for a 4-3 win over the Flames. Adam Gaudette, Drake Batherson, and Cole Reinhardt also scored as Ottawa snapped a 5-game skid. For the Flames, Jonathan Huberdeau opened the scoring, while Yegor Sharangovich and Michael Backlund added goals. Now, as far as the games go, Flames were denied a 5th consecutive win. And, Darren, as much as we gave them the kudos and the plaudits yesterday, I just feel like the bottom can fall out of that at any time. That is the Calgary Flames cardboard box of what they are. It's awesome what they're doing, but at any time, the bottom could fall out. I'm not even saying because they lost in Ottawa last night that it will, but I'm not convinced that they're even going to be a playoff team, let alone a Stanley Cup contender. Come on. But what were your takeaways from Monday night NHL leftovers?
Yeah, all the comebacks. I think there was 10 games that saw a lead change and a comeback. I was watching, was it Tampa, Colorado, and Tampa putting all those goals up, and the goaltender in Colorado losing his you-know-what on the crossbar. But it was a good night. Overall, it was a good night. Jets keep rolling as we expected they would. That was the one. I don't want to say it was a free space on the bingo card because they never are, but that's one you feel confident with in the picks, and we got that one right.
From the crowd, Jenna checks in, says, good morning from Southern California. Good morning, Jenna in Southern Cali. Bill Edwards writes in, he says, good morning, all. Today's saying, it's a good day. Hey, it's a good day to have a good day. It feels good to feel good. All those things. I don't have time to get into it here, but I'm realizing at my advanced age, I'm not far from being a senior, believe it or not, that all these sayings, my whole life that I thought were bunk or just something you bought, in the trinket store, actually mean something. There's a reason that they hung around, cliches and sayings and so forth. I don't feel like getting into that here now. Joshua Dorr writes and he says, what's going on, Rod? Here's something that Joshua Dorr is going to get. You're going to get in. Everybody will find this interesting. In my third point from now. So just hang on, get comfortable, everybody. Thanks. And by the way, I opened up the text line, the Alaterra Skincare text line from yesterday's show, 902-518-3033. There's a lot of football questions in there, and we'll get to them later. Now is not audience participation time. But I will tell you this, Darren. Joshua Dorr and his beautiful wife and their son stopped me on the concourse at the Panthers game on Saturday night against Colorado. We posed for a photo. You might have seen it on my social media. That was them. And I invite any of the fans and viewers and you, whatever, you name it, to stop us and say hi and get a photo. That's what we do. We're all inclusive. We want to make you feel part of it. Not a lot of media is going to do that, okay? We do. Now, I'm just going to throw this in for fun, but it's not fun. I'll count him as a friend. Former NHL player turned television analyst Paul Bissonnette was assaulted by several men during an altercation at a Scottsdale, Arizona steakhouse. Bissonnette posted a video on social media describing the incident, saying he tried to intervene when one member of the group got in the manager's face and started grabbing him after his friend was asked to leave. Scottsdale police arrested 6 men who were accused of assault and disorderly conduct. I didn't see Biz's video. I follow him on social media. I'm a fan of Biz. There's no two ways about that. But you know how trouble just follows people around? How the puck follows Crosby, puck follows Gretzky, trouble follows Biz. It used to follow me. Before I get into my soapbox, what did you think when you heard this story that Biz got beat up by 6 guys in a Scottsdale steakhouse?
Well, first I thought, okay, like somebody's got to
What'd he do?
something he said about something.
Yeah.
And he got jumped and away we go. I watched his video, not, and I take Biz at his word and what happened and completely not the story. So it sounds like, it's a family kind of restaurant or a steakhouse, like not necessarily a nightclub or anything like that. And he's on the other side in the restaurant part. Apparently he goes there all the time. And these guys were drunk and rowdy and getting cut off, and they didn't like it. And they were in the manager's face. And I guess Biz at some point's like, this has gone on for a bit. He's like, he stood up and went over to say, hey, like, you guys got to cut this out. And bang, it was on, like WWF. And it was in the restaurant. It spilled out into the parking lot and onto the street. And apparently he got kicked a couple of times. His face looked okay. He had a couple of marks on his face. And he got checked out. And apparently he's fine and good to go. But, sounds like he was stepping in when this manager was getting abused.
Of course. He was Clark Kent turned Superman. I'm sure that's what the reaction is. I'm sure that's what he's a victim. He's a victim, always a victim. And the people that are watching this show that have known me for a long time, the old me and the new me, will realize. Funny, what's the name of the steakhouse? Because I'll tell you a little story. Just a few months after I was forced into recovery to stop drinking, I was in Scottsdale, Arizona, with a bunch of NHL guys, Hordichuk being one. And I called it early, and I went home. They went out on the town. They went to a club called Cinnamon's, a strip club. These guys, I didn't go with them. I'm feeling sorry for myself.
How about that?
We were down there for the Arizona Riderville party. Do they still do those, by the way, and get the fans together? I digress.
Oh,
Anyways,
no.
the next day, I got my ass ripped. You were out with a bunch of NHL players last night, and you guys were drinking, and you went to a strip club. I'm like, no, I was not. I wasn't. And I had to prove that I wasn't. And they're like, okay, you weren't. But that would have been you. Back in the day, you would have, but I didn't. See what I'm saying? The puck just follows some people, and trouble follows others. So I found it very interesting. Now, moving on. This is only point 2. It is, according to you, Moose, I didn't know this, the NHL's 107th birthday. Today, clearly, you went all the way to the bottom of the morning skate notes, because that's where I found it. It wasn't at the top, it was at the bottom. Today is the 107th birthday of the National Hockey League, and the poll question today is for EMJ Marketing, as always, and the question is, on its 107th birthday today, what kind of shape is the National Hockey League in? 3 options. Better than ever, same as always, or could be better. And oddly enough, leading by quite a bit on Twitter is could be better. I voted for better than ever because, again, I've learned the business. Mine. What's the bottom line say? $6.2 billion in revenue last year, the most ever. Clearly, they're doing better than ever. I voted better than ever. More teams than ever, bigger crowds than ever, more skilled players than ever. What's not to love? That's what I vote. How about you?
I vote better than ever. And you talk about that, more teams, and people would say, well, the skill's watered down. And the thing is, it's not. The skill level is at an all-time high. There's stars everywhere around the league and high-quality players. And, there's no teams that are getting blown out every night. It just doesn't happen. There's parity all across the league. There's star power. There's celebrity power. There's all the rest. It's growing. Salaries are growing. So, yeah. I'd say better than ever. And I thought it was weird. I barely got caught onto it because when I clicked on the Twitter feed of the NHL on their tweet, the balloons started coming out like it was their birthday. And I didn't know you could do that. Set your Twitter account to, the league's birthday. Because I was thinking about that when we started this show. But if I put, the birthday of the show, June 3rd, 2019, as the birthday on the Twitter account, they wouldn't let us have a Twitter account. We wouldn't be old enough for a Twitter account.
You wouldn't be old enough.
So we can't do it. But the NHL can.
At 107, you can. Yeah. My mind's going a million places. You can tell by the look on my face. Viewer Scott Westman writes in and says, Darren has elite hair. There's no doubt he won the genetic lottery. Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, I'll stop in and say hi when I'm down there for the Stanley Cup final rematch in June, Rod. LOL. He's an Oilers fan from Edmonton. Regarding the Biz thing, David in Winnipeg says, cowards. David, number one. Joshua Dorr, who's a Panthers fan down here, regarding the video the Biz Nasty put on social media, he goes, looked like he fared well from the brawl. Didn't see a mark on him. So again, Biz has millions of followers, and I saw their hijinks and conduct during the Stanley Cup final last year, and I was... Times have changed. It's the way I used to live. If they followed me around on a camera, I'd have been Biz 15 years ago. But it's okay now. It is what it is. For those that voted that the NHL could be better, tell me, please, what you mean by that. How could it be better? Because I don't even know where you would improve it in a lot of ways. I don't. The TV panels are good, I feel, certainly in America anyways. Having Gretzky on the panel, hello. All these things. Emily Kaplan is great on the ESPN broadcast. I love her. Got to know her. And before we break, I also want to say this. The Panthers have lost 4 in a row, 6 of their last 7. Predictably, fans are having a meltdown. Fans going to be fans. But podcasters, too, and I don't want to name any names, but there's a podcast that uses the Panthers logo and name, but it's not in no way affiliated with the team. Going off about players being useless and this and that. I'm like, I'm going to drop this and we're going to come back after the break. I want to tell everybody this, and this is part of what Darren and I were talking about before the show. You need to understand the players see what you write, just like they used to read the paper. They used to listen to talk radio, right, Darren? They used to watch the Supper News. They watch Sports Center. It's no damn different, okay? For whatever reason, people think these players are like Martians and coaches, too, that live in some Narnia, Neverland. No, they live in the same world that we all do. And so all that I'm saying, and I know this will go over most people's head, but if you knew the players see what you wrote, would it make you change what you write? Because to that one podcaster, nice guy, I've been on his show. What are you going to do when that player that you called useless is retired and you ask him to come on your show? What are you going to do? And he tells you to go pound sand. Are you going to know why? And it's very easy to say, get over it. Nobody ever gets over it. And I've spent thousands of dollars myself getting over things. But at least I can say I finally have. I want your take and the viewers' take on, do you believe that they see it? I can tell you they do, but I want your thoughts on that. We got Monday Night Football to get to. The Crafters lost again. NHL tonight, lots of things to get to today. Scott Laughlin of NHL Radio coming up, and Sean Hogan from College Hockey Inc. We're live on Game Plus Television today, live streaming on YouTube, and, of course, podcasts wherever you enjoy your podcast.
sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
RP Show continues on this Tuesday. Hey, we're brought to you by Culligan Water. Drink clean, live green, filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit culliganregina.com. And also our poll question is for EMJ Marketing, as it is daily. Transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information at emjmarketing.com. The full roster is on there. Let's please bring in the Moose. I said, son of a gun, we'll have big fun. And that's what we're doing today. A little off the beaten path with the topics. But you know what? Here's one that brings all of our viewers together, Moose, both in Florida, Utah, Canada, all across the United States, and that's biz nasty. And also the poll question is, how do you feel the NHL's doing on today? Its 107th birthday. Darren and I both voted better than ever. But the majority are saying could be better. And Aaron in Winnipeg writes in, he says, if your team is bottom 5, you might not agree that the NHL is doing better than ever. Well, to quote Chris Jones, don't get it twisted. That's a you problem, not an NHL problem. Jenna in Southern California writes in and says, I'm very much enjoying the NHL. Better than ever. Speaking, what the hell? This is where Sabres fans come to talk, the RP Show. Aaron writes in, he says, the Sabres are due to hold on to a playoff spot this season. Question is, will they hold on to it this time? I'm just reading some of the comments, Darren. We don't need to chime in on all of them. Utah Darren writes in. He says, better than ever here. Yeah, you got a team for the first time ever. You should. Regarding the players seeing what you post. Joshua Ador here in Florida says, the Panthers went through some rough patches last year, too, and won the Cup. It's a long season. Utah Darren says, I never use some made-up name to post an opinion. If you don't have the stones to use your name, you have nothing constructive to say. Oh, that train's left the station. We're not even getting into using your name or not. And by the way, the podcaster I'm talking about wasn't hiding from anybody, with him calling out Aaron Ekblad, specifically saying he's useless. And one more, Jeremy in Winnipeg says, a fine line having technology affect the game. You want to also keep it live and authentic as possible. So, on the players seeing what you post, how do you feel about that?
I've never liked it. I've never liked the idea of having this shield, I guess, or this, like, I can sit here in my house and just type what I want, and I'm protected by the computer screen. And when I close it and shut it off, I never have to deal with the consequences. That's always been a thing. And do I ever have to go out in public and meet that player face to face? No, I never do. I never do. And even if I do, he's not going to recognize my face or know who I am. I never really liked that. Social media and being able to have an opinion and express it is a good thing overall. Like, to know what the public's feeling and all the rest is great. But you have to be careful. Words matter. Like, and words are very, very powerful. Even if it doesn't seem like much, you don't have any followers, the players do read it. And for most people that spout off and say things on social media, they never are going to ever ask the player for anything or want anything. They're never going to be in that position. But you never know. You never know. And how you conduct yourself on social media and how you conduct yourself, in certain situations affect things. Like, if I see it, I don't block people, but I have the mute function. And it's funny, Serena posted something on social. We had a little DM back and forth, and I showed her a screenshot. I have over 300 people muted on Twitter. If I see something that's like negative like that is not constructive, I just hit the mute button. I don't block people, but I hit the mute button. I'll never see it. So if you're watching this and you wonder why I haven't been interacting with your content, it's because you're probably muted for saying something stupid, But at the end of the day, it can affect you getting hired, people coming on your show, all these types of things. The way you act on social media, that builds your reputation, and that sticks with you.
All of it. And it just depends what they're looking for. By the way, just to answer the question of Joshua Dorr here in Florida, he says, Rod, are you covering the Leafs game tomorrow? That's at Texas 10-4. Serena and I will both be there, but since I have Brent from Wellington, Florida watching as well, he said he wants to go for supper before the game. Brent, I'll tell you, rather than texting you, we can't, because we're doing a double shot of the Cats and Bolts podcast. 2 episodes, one of which is Peter Worrell coming down to our studio in downtown Boca. The Panthers great and fan favorite. We won't be able to get there till game time. So on this time, we won't be able to have supper. Okay. Before I move on, well, actually, let me just get the topics out of the way. Point 4, Lamar Jackson threw 2 touchdown passes and ran for a score. Derrick Henry rushed for 140 yards as the Baltimore Ravens beat the Los Angeles Chargers 30-20 on Monday Night Football. Justice Hill ran for a 51-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter to put it out of reach for the Ravens, who have won 3 of 4. Point 5, Jaden Ivey hit a jumper as time expired to give the Detroit Pistons a 102-100 victory over the Toronto Raptors. Ivey finished with 25 points. Scotty Barnes led the Raptors with 31 points. See, I'm not calling them the Craptors because I might want a media pass someday. So I'm refraining from calling them the Craptors, even though I think it's funny as hell. Just in order, there are some football questions which have come in, and they're good ones. Taylor in Calgary writes in, says, hey, Rod, do you think the new article 3downnation.com wrote about the Stampeders will affect players wanting to come to Calgary in free agency? Nope. Negatory. And Darren may have a different idea on that, but for those that don't know, we have a lot of CFL fans, Canadian Football League fans that watch the show every day. This is where Sabres fans and CFL fans come to talk every day. And Moose, right after the Grey Cup in Vancouver 2 Sundays ago, A member of the winning team, the Toronto Argonauts, Kadeem Carey, a running back who had played in Calgary, was asked about the Calgary Stampeders. He just gashed him. And now everybody's piling on, saying they're an organization in a decline and a D- of a report card. I don't think the players care. I believe the players want to be treated well, which Calgary really does. It's a beautiful city, world class. And who's going to pay you the most? Why did Kadeem Carey move in the first place? Because Argos were paying him more. This kind of stuff goes around forever. Trust me, the players know amongst themselves. They're not going by what they're reading on a blog. So I don't think it'll affect them. But Darren might have a different opinion. How about you?
Things maybe. There's a chance. I mean, just one comment's not going to be enough. But if this is something that is talked about amongst player reps of the PA, amongst agents, if this is becoming a trend, and you could potentially get blackballed as an organization when it comes to key free agents. But I don't think that's really probable. You got really quality people in that organization. And say what you want about Dave Dickinson as a coach and what Kadeem Carey wants to say, or Huff Nagel or Jay McNeil. They're all great people that I think have done a great job overall. And they've had a couple of bad seasons, but they'll get better. That's interesting. What I'm really curious about is when these report cards come out. Those things maybe have a little bit of a bigger effect, right? Amenities, stadium, hospitality, travel, what's like on the road, all that stuff maybe would matter more than what Kadeem Carey had to say.
What Kadeem Carey had to say means nothing. But I, like you, was salivating over the NFL report cards last year. And you probably remember the Kansas City Chiefs were rated the worst home locker room facilities in the National Football League. Meanwhile, they're 9-1, 10-1, and 3-time going after their third consecutive Super Bowl. So that stuff to me is all overrated. By the way, from our Ontario viewers, of which we have a lot, Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, "Hey, Rod, a couple things." He goes, "Wow, minus 30 degrees and 30 centimeters of snow in Saskatchewan, and it's only November. I'd be in Florida too, but only for the winter months. I can't stand oppressive heat." Well, number one, Kirk, just worry about you and not what the weather is in Saskatchewan. Why am I hearing coughing in my ears? Is that you, Darren? Are you moving your lips and coughing? Okay. Number three, I come back to Canada in the summer. Did you forget? I broadcast baseball. And he says, "Hey, Rod, Hamilton Tiger Cat legend and 4-time Grey Cup champion Joe Zuger has died at age 84. Rest in peace." And Bill in Brantford, Ontario writes in and says, "Rod, Joe Zuger, Ticats great. Quarterback died yesterday. He helped the Ticats to 3 Grey Cups as a player and 1 as their GM. He was one of the Ticats all-time great." Signed, Bill from Brantford. So when we trip all over ourselves, betting the George Reeds and the Jim Hobsons and these guys that have passed away, the Ken Millers in Saskatchewan, we got to give the Hamilton people the chance, and the Eastern CFL people the opportunity to mourn theirs as well. I won't say who, and we have a lot of viewers in Hamilton because it's a big CFL town, as you know, Darren. A friend of mine that played for the Ticats under Joe Zuger told me, and you Hamiltonians tell me if I have this right, they said Joe Zuger treated everybody the same, like crap. Kind of like a Belichick thing. Not that he was a bad guy, but he treated everybody the same. He didn't play favorite. And as we've noted, went on to win multiple Grey Cups, so it does work. Jeremy in Winnipeg writes in, and he says, "That stuff about the grade F for the Chiefs is all haters. I don't see their players whining. Everyone wants to go there. Haters gonna hate." Yeah, it's former players. Kadeem Carey's doing the same thing. Darren, before we run, do you see what I'm? It's the former player. You think Travis Kelce's going to come out and say, "Mr. Hunt, the owner, can you put a coat of paint in my stall for the love of God?" Or Patrick Holmes, like, "Can you turn up the heat in the hot tub with the cheap bastards?" They're not going to do that because it's their boss. Who goes to their boss with their, "Well, I tried in my past job and was told to F off," and yeah, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Why? So how do you feel about these report cards?
Yeah, there's a difference, though, between winning and signing free agents. Not always a correlation. And so do these report cards have anything to do with winning? Probably not at the end of the day. But also remember, the Chiefs aren't typically spending at free agency. They're not necessarily acquiring or attracting all the top free agents. Where are the free agents going? Free agents are going where the money is. And maybe, you look at facility and amenities and what city they want to live in, Miami or LA or wherever. That's attracting free agents. Those report cards maybe, but not winning. The report cards don't translate into winning.
And it's not current Chiefs rating the locker room because, again, we talk about moving on. Kadeem Carey should move on. I've moved on. We don't talk about my last job when I was the voice of the Rough Riders and went into the radio station management. I was one guy. I'm like, the competitors got 6 guys over there. And they said, yeah, and you're still kicking their ass in their ratings. So get the hell out of our office and you're lucky you have a job. Okay. It kills your soul. But I don't think about it very often. You want me? Nobody's asking me for a grade of them, but it's evident I don't need to. Moose, I'll see you in hour 2.
You bet.
Jeremy in Winnipeg says Aaron Rodgers goes to his boss. Yeah, and how's that working out? Scott Laughlin joins us next from NHL Radio. It's going to be good, Scott. Live here on Game Plus Television, live streaming on YouTube, and of course, podcasts wherever you enjoy your podcast.
Skate into the holiday season with the Stars. Stars on Ice 2024 Holiday Tour. With figure skating icon Elvis Stoico, Olympic medalist Caitlin Osmond, Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poget, Keegan Messing, Satoko Miyahara, and more. Stars on Ice. Coming to Moose Jaw Event Center December 20th. Unwrap your tickets at starsonice.ca.
Hi, my name's Logan Stanko. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors. There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life. Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Yes, folks, it's going well here in South Florida. And by the way, the text line is open and brought to you by Alaterra Skincare. As sports fans, there's nothing we love more than a comeback in the game against wrinkles, scars, and acne. It's never too late to revitalize your skin with Alaterra Naturals. Check out their website at alaterra.com and use promo code RP20 for 20% off your first order. It's going well here, save for the Panthers' 4-game losing streak. And before we get into that, let's please bring in Scott Laughlin from NHL Radio. Scott, great show this morning. As you know, I listen every day. Today, on the 107th birthday of the NHL, our poll question is, what kind of shape is the NHL in? Better than ever, same as always, or could be better? How would you vote?
Well, that's a great question, Rod. I would say, obviously, financially, from a business perspective, it's never been better. From a marketing perspective, it's probably never been better. From an on-ice product perspective, look, you can argue that the game's better than it ever has been in terms of talented, skilled players. Look, I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, mid-80s, and enjoyed the hockey back then. And I think anybody of that vintage will think that that was the greatest hockey ever played, especially when you talk about 1987 and the 3 games of the Canada Cup against the Soviets. So I would say that if I had to choose, I would have to say probably better than ever. There are some possibilities for the future. Obviously, that look pretty good for the National Hockey League vis-a-vis expansion and things of that nature. But when you can talk about franchises being worth $1 billion plus, even $2 billion to get into the game to play in the National Hockey League, man, the founding fathers back in 1917 would have been, of course, very impressed with where this game has gotten to from a business perspective, no doubt.
Yeah, they should be very proud of what they've done and where the game has come. And, of course, NHL Radio, let's be honest, a big, big part of that. Now, furthermore, Scott, just so you know, they do play hockey down here. And the Panthers have lost 4 in a row, and some are losing their minds. Some podcasters are, and they're saying some pretty nasty things on social media. And I've kind of bitten back and said, the players see this, okay? The players see it. So think about it before you post. And I want to ask you, have you ever had a player, you must, in all your time, come to you, or coaches or even worse, over something you said on NHL radio specifically?
You know what? I don't think I have. I don't know that I'm the most controversial guy with takes. I will offer up opinions. You can agree or disagree. Usually I often preface what I've got to say, Rod, as you know, by saying, I know I'm in the minority, but, and then comes my opinion, which doesn't necessarily meet with the approval of most of the people out there, but it's my opinion anyway. So maybe it's because I'm so polite, Rod, as a Canadian, to say I know I'm in the minority, but that it kind of exonerates me from any sort of conflict perhaps that could be out there. But no, I've never had any problems with anybody really pulling me aside and saying, hey, how could you say that? I'd like to think that I'm fair with players when dealing with them, when having dealt with them over the years too, Rod, and I know you're the same way. I know a lot. You know a lot, some of which we talk about and makes the airwaves, some of which we know we can't probably say on the air for various reasons. So it's an interesting profession when it comes to ethics, I think, from that standpoint.
And it also depends on where you reside. Like, for instance, NFL coaches, hot seats, firings, talked about all the time. But you guys, you're like tiptoeing around the fire pit. Mm-hmm. You don't want to talk about who's going to be fired next. Having said that, who's going to be fired next, Scott?
Boy, there are a couple of hot spots right now, I think, Rod. You'd have to look at Detroit. I think Detroit's a losing streak away from making a change, just because the Eyes are playing now is into its, 5th or 6th year, and at some point they've got to make some strides towards the playoffs. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying don't go into some sort of prolonged losing streak, I think, if you're Detroit. I think if Pittsburgh was going to make a change, Rod, wouldn't they have made it by now? when it comes to Mike Sullivan, I mean, this team is pretty much reaching the bottom of the barrels, the depths of the National Hockey League standings right now. And if they haven't made a change with Mike Sullivan up until this point, you're probably thinking Kyle Dubas is more likely to make a significant trade. And I'm not talking about Tomasino coming in from Nashville. I'm thinking about something maybe a little bit more significant along the way. Another spot, too, that I might want to keep an eye on is Utah. And you'd say, well, why Utah? I mean, they're in a honeymoon phase right now, aren't they? Well, yes and no. They're in a honeymoon phase in Utah at the Delta Center. But by the same token, we know that Bill Armstrong was aggressive at the draft and making that Sergachev acquisition like he did. And I think right then and there, that told the fan base, whether it was formerly in Arizona or now in Utah, we have designs on pushing up. We want to make the playoffs in the Western Conference. And I think because of that, you've got to be careful if you're Andre Tourigny right now with regards to going into some sort of a long, prolonged losing skid, because I think the expectations were raised and I think the bar was raised when it comes to the hockey club. Now the expectation is, you know what? Enough already. Let's get closer to the playoffs at the very least and play meaningful games, as they say, come the month of March.
Flames lost in Ottawa last night to snap a 4-game win streak, but I got to ask you, I feel like the bottom can fall out at any time, and maybe it's about to. How far do you think this Flames wonderful story goes?
Well, that's a team I think that could play some meaningful games in March, Rod. I really do. I've got Dustin Wolf. I've got him as the third goaltender on my Team USA roster, which we're going to unveil coming up on Thursday. I think we know the obvious. It's going to be Connor Hellebuck as the starter, Jake Ottinger as the backup. Thatcher Demko, I think, could have played into it had he been healthy, but there's just too much in the way of question mark when it comes to Thatcher Demko and his health as to whether he can come back and stay healthy throughout the long haul for that tournament in February. So I've got Dustin Wolf, who's got a .926 save percentage. The kid has come in as advertised now with some extended playing time. His home ice record's phenomenal. I think he should be on Team USA. And I think when you combine him with some of the good young players that they've had step up this season, you know, mainly Connor Zary is one of those kids that you want to watch. I think combined with some resurgence on occasion from Huberdeau and from Kadri and from Mackenzie Weegar on the back end, I think they've got some really nice pieces out there in Calgary. And, you know, they lost Ottawa last night. That was almost a must-win for Ottawa, given some of the flare-ups in Ottawa with regards to the captain, Brady Tkachuk, and his undisciplined play and things of that nature. They had to stop the bleeding. Wrong place, wrong time for Calgary. But as you said, they had a winning streak going into there.
I have 3 questions. We have 90 seconds, so I got to be quick. Who's your starting Canadian goalie?
Jordan Binnington.
Okay.
I think the Stanley Cup means something.
What's with the Columbus Blue Jackets, Jack?
Well, I bought this, Rod, at the All-Star Weekend in Columbus years ago when we broadcasted there. And I said, I've got to have some sort of souvenir. So let me go get a second loan from the bank and see if I can extend my mortgage a little bit. And I'll pick up this because things are not cheap at All-Star Weekends. I saw Steve Spott years ago at the airport, and he said, hey, Scott, we got to get you one for us because they were with San Jose at that point. Steve, I'm still waiting.
How about
God,
that?
I dropped $180 on a Grey Cup windbreaker in Vancouver last week, which is another question I would. Did you love the CFL coverage you did this year? Because I loved what you did.
It was a lot of fun. We're working on something maybe with the Toronto Argonauts, and whether it be Arbuckle or Pinball or Dinwiddie or whomever, hopefully I'll get a chance to catch up with them later on this week. It was a lot of fun. I mean, credit the Toronto Argonauts, right? As Chris Berman always says, that's why they play the games. And I love Arbuckle certainly in the Grey Cup, but I think you have to credit that defense, as you well know, Rod, for the last couple of weeks with what they did in Montreal and then the Grey Cup in Vancouver. That defense with 10 takeaways, pretty tough to beat that, isn't it?
I know you love history. I call him Fatty Arbuckle. Look it up. And my last question is, does Gord Stellick want a job in the NHL? Because every single day he brings it up.
You know what? I don't know. I think he admitted today, Rod. He said, you know, the ship has sailed for me. He told Don Granato that he's getting back in as a head coach.
I was listening.
I think that's going to be true. Yeah. I don't know. I think he's, believe it or not, I mean, it's hard to be content sitting across from me in the studio every day, Rod. That's tough to deal with. But I don't think I'm about ready to scare him back into the National Hockey League at this stage.
I find it unbelievably entertaining. And I talked to Bruce Boudreau's agent, by the way, Gil Scott, no big deal. I said, did Gabby and Gord Stellick hate each other? Because the things they say are whack. And he goes, no, they love each other. It's all for show. I'm like, oh, my God. Well, it's a great show then. All right, Scott, keep up the great work. Good seeing you, Scott Laughlin. Keep it up, buddy.
Appreciate it. You too, Rod. Thank you.
We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover after this. We're live across Canada on the Game Plus television network and 32 U.S. states. Also live streaming on YouTube and in podcast form wherever you enjoy your podcast.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Mo.
The Moustache is calling. Raise funds, save lives. Donate at Movember.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Boom, 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 boom. Where do I go from here? I got just so much stuff. Well, let's do a sports update. Joe Zuger, a former player and general manager for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, has passed away. He was 84. He helped the Ticats win 3 Grey Cups in the 60s as a player, then was the team's GM through the 80s, including their CFL championship team in 1986. The Western Hockey League announced Washington Capitals prospect Andrew Crystal of the Kelowna Rockets has been named the WHL Player of the Week. The 5'10", 183-pound right winger led all WHL players this past week, recording 9 points and a +4 rating in just 3 games. And Edmonton Oil Kings netminder Alex Worthington has been named WHL Goalie of the Week. The 6'3", 178-pound product of Waldheim enjoyed an outstanding week. Waldheim, Saskatchewan. For those of us Saskies, I don't need to say Saskatchewan, but for the rest of you, I do. It's been a while since I've been through Waldheim. He went 3-0 with a 1.00 GAA, 964 save percentage, and a Shetty. Sports Update brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, the movie Heretic. 2 young missionaries are forced to prove their faith when they knock on the wrong door and are greeted by a diabolical Mr. Reed, played by Hugh Grant, becoming ensnared in his deadly game of cat and mouse. I went to it. Wouldn't go again. Wouldn't suggest it, but the hot dogs were good. Regarding the trolls, why are we talking about this? It's an interesting time in the world. Got into this with Scott Laughlin. Just here specifically in South Florida, the Panthers are going through a tough time. They've lost 4 in a row, and I'm seeing people say some things that you can't take back on social media. And it's one thing for it to be fans, but I'm seeing some podcasters and wannabe media saying personal things about the players. And all I'm saying is the players see it. So think before you post it. Some of you won't care. Some of you are hurting people and want to hurt the player. That's another level, whole other level of screwed up. But if you one day want to get these players on your podcast, you might want to stop saying these things about them, or keep doing it, but live with the consequences. Paul in Humboldt writes in and he says, regarding internet trolls, a good recovery coach I know says, quote, if you let someone else make you feel bad about yourself, that's on you. You know what? I share and repeat a lot of phrases and memes on my recovery account, but that's one I came up with on my own. And thank you, Paul, for remembering that. Don't let somebody else make you feel bad. Jeremy in Winnipeg says, does Scott think Yzerman's going to pull the trigger and fire Newsy Lalonde? I think we kind of talked about that, and he did suggest that. I love this. John Ohm says, thoughts of the Winnipeg Jets? They're not even in the top 10 to win the Stanley Cup. Come on, man. John, don't do this. You do this all the time. Just enjoy having a great team. We're not getting respect. Who cares? Literally, who cares? Because if and when the Jets don't win the Stanley Cup next spring, you're not going to care or remember right now whether they were in the top 10 or not. Take a chill pill. How are we doing for time, Clark? Aaron in Winnipeg, using the excuse that Jets haven't performed in the playoffs as a reason why they aren't top 10 contenders doesn't explain why the Leafs are so high on that list. Who cares? Okay, next hour, a hell of a lot of audience participation on whatever you want to talk about. That'll be fun. And Sean Hogan from College Hockey Inc. I'm looking forward to that after this brief pause.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, Studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Me, golf, I don't get golf people, and clearly they don't get me. But I'll send you the video of it. The whole crowd seems stunned. It's Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final. It's an elimination game. We can win it at home and win the Stanley Cup. And you're saying, it was sort of like cowbell. Will Ferrell with that Saturday Night Live. Just no.
Hit the frickin' thing! This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Now I remember what that was. Welcome, everybody. I think was it Arnold Palmer? Is he still alive? Jack Nicklaus? One of the two. Let's bring in the Moose. It was the Stanley Cup Final. Was it? It was Arnold Palmer, wasn't it? Was it Jack?
Arnold
Which one
Palmer
was it?
might
The
have
Golden
done
Bear? Okay.
But it was Jack.
Yeah, it was here at the Panthers game last year. Okay. I got going too early. I got all geeked up here. Moose is here. What's the breaking news, Clark? He's in my ear. Ah, there you go. Boom, 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 boom. Well, how do you like
Ring
this?
the bell.
I did.
How about that?
I'll ring it again. On cue, Colt tunes in and he's an Alouettes fan. And he says, where do we see Vernon Adams Jr. going? What team will pick him up? Breaking news as we leave the port in hour 2 of the RP show. Vernon Adams has been traded from the BC Lions to the Calgary Stampeders. 3 draft picks, you said, Clark? Thank you. Yeah, okay. We'll get the details, but producer Clark in my ear telling me that, in fact, Vernon Adams is now a Calgary Stampeder. So lots to unpack there. Thank you, Cardinal Ryan. He's watching in upstate New York. He says it was Jack Nicklaus. Right. He shows up for Game 5 of the Stanley Cup. Oilers, Panthers, to bang the gong here, which is like 6 feet in diameter, the drum. Ping. It was such a downer. Anyways, can you hit the quick 6 show horn? Is it Director Ryan in the chair today? Thank you. Bryce, it's the revolving directors. Thank you, Bryce. We're cooking with gas, man. We really are. What we've been talking about for those that have just tuned in. Number one, NHL leftovers from last night. I think we've kind of put that to bed. We talked a lot about the Panthers here have lost 4 in a row, and some people are losing their minds. Point 2 is our poll question today. Is the NHL on its 107th birthday today? What shape is it in? The National Hockey League, brought to you by EMJ Marketing. They bring you the poll every day. They'll provide the perfect keynote speaker for your event. Is the NHL better than ever? Is it same as always or could be better? And Darren and I both voted for better than ever. Scott Laughlin was with us from SiriusXM NHL Radio last hour, and he says that it's better than ever. But honestly, 50% of you are saying it could be better. 26% are saying same as always. 24% saying better than ever. For those that have voted that it could be better, tell me please what they're missing, because I don't see what they're missing. Point 3, we're debating on whether the players see what you post on social media, which, by the way, they do. It's a trick question. I can tell you for a fact they do, because we see them watching our show, our social media channels. I do the Cats and Bolts podcast here in South Florida with Serena, and I see the Panthers players are watching it sometimes, and Lightning players too. Sometimes they get mad at me. Why didn't you use this photo of me? Why'd you use the photo of that guy? I'm surprised you care. Point 4, Monday Night Football, the Ravens beating the Chargers 30-23. John Harbaugh gets the better of his little brother Jim again. Point 5, the Raptors lost 102-100 to the Detroit Pistons. And point 6, NHL tonight, which we haven't got to, but we will. And then Biznasty getting assaulted. Scottsdale police arrested 6 men who are accused of assault and disorderly conduct. A brouhaha broke out in a Scottsdale steakhouse, and I've had people sending me the reports of it. It's just weird. It's a weird time, Darren, where millions of views are spent on this incident at a Scottsdale steakhouse. But that's the world that we live in, right? We'll get to this CFL news in a second, but it's just, again, whether you like Biz or you don't, you can't deny he's the number one newsmaker in the NHL. Who's even close?
Yeah, I'd agree. And I think he'd probably be on that Hockey News 100, right? The list of influential and powerful people in the game. I think he carries a ton of influence. I think he'd probably be on that list and not near the bottom of it either. Yeah, I agree. Big newsmaker. When something happens with him, people are going to care about it and notice.
Yeah, well, and that's a difference between what Elliot Friedman does on Sportsnet or Darren Dreger does on TSN. Yeah, they report the news. Biznasty is the news. Big difference. Okay, 902-518-3033. I told you it was going to be viewer takeover for a lot of hour 2 here. It's brought to you by Alaterra Skincare. Aaron in Winnipeg says, good for Stampeders fans. I wonder if competing teams were jacking up the cost for the Stampeders. A la the Lions for Brady Oliveira. Because it's a huge news day, today I would prefer to talk hockey. I really would. It's minus 25, I understand, in Saskatchewan. But it's not every day that Vernon Adams gets traded. I think who needed him the most? The Calgary Stampeders. It's interesting that on this show last month, Mark Steven, the voice of the Stampeders, kind of inferred that the Horsemen, the Calgary Stampeders, would wait until free agency and go after Trey Ford up the road. They're not waiting. They don't want to take the chance. Vernon Adams is their guy. What does this do, Darren, for the Calgary Stampeders?
Well, first, this is very similar to the St. Louis Blues making a move, behind the bench and hiring Jim Montgomery middle of the season. You don't want to wait and see who fires their coach next or who makes the next move. If you want a guy, go get him. Don't wait. And if Calgary would have waited, you're going to find out, you're giving time for Edmonton. By the way, they've got Ed Hervey as the GM. They got to hire a coach. And then they have to discuss what do you see out of our quarterbacks, and analyze our quarterbacks, and then decide what you want moving forward. That takes time. And then if you're Saskatchewan, you're going to find out, what are they going to do with Trevor Harris at free agency in February? Is he going to come back, or are they going to look for a new quarterback, and maybe they're going to make a move? If you wait for these things to happen, now all of a sudden you're competing with potentially others. What is Hamilton going to do with Bo? They could enter the sweepstakes. Montreal has a decision at quarterback, apparently, that they're making. So Calgary's like, we want the guy. Let's go get the guy before anybody else makes a decision on their guy and enters the sweepstakes. Let's go make the trade. And this makes Calgary a team that instantly has a chance to get better quickly, to be a playoff team again, to challenge in the West. But for Vernon Adams' sake, I hope he's not going into this in another battle. Like, where are they with Jake Mayer? Where are they with PJ Walker, who's got NFL experience? Where are they with these guys? Or is Vernon going to come in and actually be the number one quarterback, which he probably deserves to be? That's the situation I hope he's walking in.
We have a lot of Stampeders watch this, fans watch this show because they tell us. And last hour, they asked, Taylor from Calgary wrote in and said, are these negative reports about the Calgary Stampeders going to dissuade players from coming here? The answer is no. It's sour grapes from former players that's not even to be listened to be honest. And it's creating a lot of waves in the CFL. Do you think Vernon Adams is going, yeah, I'm nixing this trade because Kadeem Carey doesn't like it there? No, this is the perfect trade for the Calgary Stampeders. You don't have to break the bank for Vernon Adams. He's a good person. He's got the quality reps. It's perfect. And you got a guy with a chip on his shoulder, which, quite frankly, you want. I need to rein this in a little bit. I was kind of hoping with, baseball being over, we're not sitting here talking about the Blue Jays not even being asked to. CFL season ended, but did it? You got the coaching carousel going on now. Now this. I just want to tell you, Darren, I was on the South Florida Tribune Sports Exchange podcast last night. Just so you know, before I get to these viewer questions, because I did say viewer takeover, and they've responded, so I'll get to your question. But what Scott Morgan-Roth, the Motor City Loudmouth, said to me, he goes, Rod, when you were on the Sports Exchange live from the Grey Cup, it was our most viewed episode all year. So I'm going to bring you on more. Okay. And then they asked me last night about the Miami Hurricane. They're like, what do you think of defensive back blankety blank and his 79-yard pick six for the Miami Hurricanes against Wake Forest on the weekend? I said, I don't think anything about it because I wasn't watching. There's like
How about
8 million things going on. So it's ask me what I know and care about, and I'll be more than happy to talk about it. And that particular day, I was watching Curtis Rourke and Indiana at OSU in a hell of a football game there. It's just wild, and we need to wrestle this back to what you and I want to talk about. That's what we need to do. Now, Bill in Brantford, Ontario writes in, and he says, I watched the Vanier Cup. That was the Canadian University Football Championship on Saturday. Wilfrid Laurier versus Laval. He says, I found it entertaining, just wondering Darren's thoughts on the quarterbacks of the game making it to the pros. And if I can double down, Darren, Max in Toronto is watching on Game Plus TV, and he writes in and he says, if you were the Hamilton Tiger Cat, would you draft Taylor Elgersma and have him develop behind Bo Levi Mitchell? Can you take 60 seconds to answer those, and then we'll move on?
Yeah, I think there's as much of an opportunity as ever for a Canadian quarterback to make it in pros and then develop on either side of the border. But the thing with Taylor Elgersma, and I don't know as much about Arnaud Desjardins over in Laval, in Quebec City, but with Elgersma, he's been developing on both sides of the border. He's been going to elite camps in the U.S., exhibitions, showcases like the Shrine Bowl and those types of things. And he's got the prototypical build. He's got the body. He's got the arm that can play in the CFL, and it could play in the NFL too. He's got those types of tools. Do I think he's going to get an NFL look? Probably not right away, if at all. Maybe, I don't know. But being drafted into the CFL and develop, yeah. Like he very much is like Michael O'Connor but I think he's better and has more pro potential.
You've been singing his praises all year, and you've got a very keen eye. Even going into the season, you did. One more, Jeremy from Deer Valley, he writes in and he says, what happens in Calgary with Jake Maier? He's the veteran quarterback, for those that don't know. Maybe he goes to Edmonton, and Davis Alexander lands in Riderville. This is all supposition and speculation, which I'm not sure that I really want to get into. Jake Maier's had his chance. So where he goes is up to him or up to the Calgary Stampeders, but Vernon Adams is the guy. Utah Darren writes in and he says, P.J. Walker is a good quarterback, but he's never played in the CFL. No, but he came up and had a taste of it at the end of the year with the Calgary Stampeders. Let's remember that I believe still, even though it's 2024 and the players have changed and the business has changed, the teams are still in control of you. You know what I'm saying? That they'll decide. This is true. Aaron in Winnipeg writes in and he says, we love speculation, Rod. We munch it up.
Yes. Yes.
That part is also true.
Bingo!
Okay, and I'm going to address this, then we're going to take a break and get back on track. Well, we'll put a bow on this before we break. Colt writes in, Alouettes fan. He says, how about the news yesterday? The United Football League announced they are now talking about expansion in the league. When will we see expansion in the CFL? Before my head explodes, I can think of very few things that I care about less than expansion in the United Football League. And I damn sure I'm not going to talk about it here. And until we have an idea that the CFL even cares about expansion, that's not also something that I care to talk about. So the earth-shattering news, not here, not today. The earth-shattering news in the Canadian Football League is the actual news, not speculation. Vernon Adams has been dealt from the BC Lions to the Calgary Stampeders. Where all the chips land, basically this is like a bomb going off, Darren. And the collateral damage, the shrapnel, is the Jake Maiers and the Trey Fords and the McLeod Bethel and all the other quarterbacks who have expiring contracts or are looking to play somewhere else next year. This was a major domino today. You know, back to the Stampeders being dumped on by not all, but a lot of their former players. It doesn't mean anything. It does not mean anything. Jay McNeil wipe his ass with those stories. Doesn't matter, because all of a sudden you got Vernon Adams today, and all of a sudden you've got a contending team. That's what I have to say about that. What's yours before we break?
Yeah, I mean, this really shakes things up. And now you look at the West, and Nathan Rourke in BC, Vernon Adams in Calgary, and Zach Collaros in Winnipeg. Those are your three starting quarterbacks that are locked in. There's still question marks, and we don't know what they're going to do in Saskatchewan and Edmonton. So that's what we have to figure out next.
What we love about live daytime television, and I'll remind our U.S. viewers for the 8 millionth time, we're on national television in Canada, Game Plus TV. This is just a bonus to you that you're able to peer in on Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show. Breaking news today, Vernon Adams Jr. has been traded from the BC Lions to the Calgary Stampeders for 3 draft picks. We've also been talking about leftovers from the National Hockey League Monday night. We're going to be playing our NHL breakaway bets coming up. It's sport betting. It's what Darren and I do. We make bets on the games, but don't put any money on it. I feel, Darren, like this could catch on. It hasn't yet. But I feel like it could. We have also a very special guest coming up, Sean Hogan from College Hockey Inc. He's the executive director, because we're not done yet. We're going to get the U.S. side of the NCAA's decision to make all junior hockey players eligible. That's coming up later on in hour 2. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV, live streaming on YouTube, and, of course, podcasts wherever you enjoy your podcast.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okie dokie. Here we go. We're back live. I tell you what, having one look out of doors turns that frown upside down. Episode number 1385 of your favorite daytime sports talk show is here right now. I was just updating rodpeterson.com. You can go there 24 hours a day. Hi, Muth. I feel like we got to get the Mooseaholics. Huge trade today in the Canadian Football League. The Calgary Stampeders have acquired Vernon Adams via trade from the BC Lions. All the details are at rodpeterson.com right now. Go look them up. Here's the thing, Darren. In the break, I forgot what day it was. And I just got to tell people that, again, we can sit here like all the other shows and just talk about the betting odds and the this and that's boring crap to me. Let's get real. That's what we do. We get real. And everybody needs to back off. And you know where I'm coming from on this. Can you share this? Can you retweet this? Can you do this? Can you do? I don't have time. Back off. I'll get to it when I get to it. I don't understand where along the line this whole thing became can you like my post? Can you share my post? Would you've never, ever acknowledged anything that we do? Why would I do that for you? And I'm not going to ask you where they're coming from, Darren, because you don't know either. You're not that guy. But they need to back off. What's that sign they used to say? Take a number, I'll get to you when it's your turn. And today's not looking like a good day. How does that sign go? You know what it is? Wait your turn.
Yeah, that's it.
Whatever the hell it is.
Today's not looking like a good day.
Today's not your day. And then I delve into the comments saying everybody needs to back off. But I'm here for the news of Vernon Adams going to the Calgary Stampeders. But again, as far as can you do this? Can you do that? I need this. I need that. I need it now. Yeah, you know what you need to do? And by the way, nobody has given me an answer yet when I say, why would you say the NHL could be better? That's our poll question today. Darren brought to our attention, it's the National Hockey League's 107th birthday today. And what are they calling it? Founders Day? I'm not totally sure. All it is, the NHL is making a big deal, which they should. It's their 107th birthday today. And our poll question for EMJ Marketing is, what's the state of the NHL? What kind of shape are they in on their 107th birthday? Never better, never been better, same as always, or could be better. And leading the way on Twitter, people saying could be better. Why? I don't understand how that is, other than maybe your team sucks, but that's not the NHL's fault. That's the only thing. People wrote it and said, my team's in the bottom 5. That is not Gary Bettman's problem. What are you laughing at?
I got to say, like, every time you've brought up the poll question, my mind goes to, you read the options, and when you read could be better, my mind goes to the movie Liar, Liar with Jim Carrey. And it's the night of his kid's birthday. He missed it because he's got to work late. The kid wishes that his dad would never lie again. And Jim is in bed in his office, sleeping with his boss. And he wakes up and she says, so how was it? Could be better because he can't lie. So when you... I've had better.
That must be your favorite movie of all time, Liar, Liar, because you quote it so many times.
I know. So good. Yeah, those early.
I think of it a lot. I think of it a lot, too, like being in the elevator. It was me. But I will say, they don't air that enough on cable over and over and over again. Liar. You know what they do? Weekend at Bernie's. And the problem is I get stuck on it every time I watch it. Because the dead Bernie Lomax looks like my former news director, Greg Bonnard, who he's not with us anymore. But my God, he looks exactly like Greg Bonnard, especially after he'd been dead for 4 or 5 days, Bernie Lomax. I can't stop watching that show. John Ohm. Rod's rant. Back off.
How about that?
When you tell people to back off, they usually do. And if they get upset, that's a them problem. Randy from Winnipeg says the NHL is the 5th money-making league in the world. They're doing fine. Oh, I believe so. Do we have stats on that, by the way? That they are, because what are they? It's English Premier League, I'm guessing would be number 1. I don't know. I'm not a soccer guy. NFL, MLB, NBA, whatever. I'm guessing hockey is 5th behind all of that. Yeah. Although I was with a pretty big money guy not that long ago at Flanagan's here. Like, I mean, a really big money guy. And he was telling me more than half the teams in Major League Baseball aren't making money. And I'm like, well, no guff. You look at the payrolls, but look at the stands. It's math. Honestly, man, they're not making money, but these guys got so much money they don't care, which is a whole other thing. Every time I look up Elon Musk's net worth, it's exponentially more. Go look up right now. Like every time it's more. Probably about once a week I go and look. Elon Musk, like $334 billion is his net worth. The guy that owns Twitter now, and his mom's from North Battleford. Darren, $334 billion he's worth, and we still can't edit a tweet. Figure that one out.
You can if you pay for it, I think.
Serious? Okay.
Yeah, I think if you pay for a premium.
Rocky writes then, he says, now that the NHL got rid of Phoenix, that fixed a major problem. Did it ever? I mean, it's interesting. Utah isn't a problem. But last hour, Scott Laughlin was on here from NHL Radio, and he said he thinks that Utah, not to say they're going to be the next team to fire a coach, but he goes, but they could be in the running. And I don't know. Again, let's get real again. Today's episode could be titled, Get Real. Because with the Panthers having lost 4 in a row, it's really no different than the Leafs, Riders, whatever your team is. People want to figure out what the problem is. Panthers have lost 4 in a row, 6 of their last 7. Rome is burning. I have people DMing me going, Rod, what do you think the problem is? I think it's goaltending. I think it's lack of quality defensemen. I'm like, listen, bro, I'm not giving 2 squirts of piss for this because they don't care what I think. And by the way, Paul Maurice, after the game last night, says something's missing from our game. We need to go look at the video and figure out what it is. He doesn't know. So why? I appreciate that you're asking my opinion, but I don't think about that stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's, people say, what do you think about the CFL's problems? I don't care because it's not my job. I'm not the coach of the Panthers. But the fans, they like to do that. I just don't. Colt says, like the Chicago White Sox. They're probably making money because they're the Chicago White Sox, but I understand they're the worst team in baseball history this year. I get it. But it's like, I'm sorry. I know it's a fan thing to play armchair general manager, armchair coach. That's just not my thing, which, by the way, on that whole topic of speculation, I went and looked up, I think I mentioned this yesterday, MGM bets, Ontario bets, some other bets. What were the coaching odds firing in the NHL? None of them, not one, had Jim Montgomery in the top 5 of Boston, nor Drew Bannister in St. Louis. And I understand one was related to the other, but some actually had Ryan Huska of the Flames in their top 5. And I'm just like, who's employing these people? How can you not figure out that Ryan Huska is in year 2? Say he's in year 2 of his contract. They're in year 1 of a rebuild. They're not firing Ryan Huska no matter what. I guess it's fun to talk about for some, but it's a waste of energy to me. Do you like it?
No, especially when it comes to coaches firing. Like, I even hate, talking about any sort of failure from somebody. You know what I mean? Like, I hate to speculate on somebody's downfall. I'd rather talk about what's going on that's good. I'm okay to analyze things when they go bad and why they're bad and what maybe happened. I'm not oblivious to that. But things that haven't happened yet, let's talk about the next coach to get fired and really talk about all the bad things he's doing that get him deserve to be fired. I'd rather not do that. That's not what I'm interested in. When he is fired, we can talk about where things went wrong. But until then, I'm okay with saying guys are on the hot seat, and we know certain coaches are on the hot seat, but that's it. We don't need to go in and out of it and be disrespectful to the guys that still have jobs.
I'm coming around on that. I used to be the way that you were. Wait till you get fired. You become a little impervious to that talk. Because I look at Nashville, last I checked, second last place in the entire National Hockey League, and we can't figure out why they haven't made a coaching change. And we've been kicking that around on the Cats and Bolts podcast, not as much here, but that's more of an American thing, a football thing. They talk about it way more there. Jim in Belgoni writes in, he says, time for another RP shirt design. You do the listening, we'll do the talking. Love what you guys do. Well, I think the phrase today was back off. I'm still trying to get where people get off saying, can you share my stuff? You've never shared mine. It's not new. A lot of people do it. Not like it's rare. Been asked for. I'm like, you've never acknowledged anything we've posted. Why would I share your stuff for you? And by the way, we charge for that. I don't get it. And that's the other thing with the Vernon Adams. The viewers aren't stupid. We had the poll last week. We said, where's he most likely to go? The winner was Calgary. Because who needed a quarterback the most? Calgary. People aren't dumb. I think we all kind of saw this. Maybe not this soon, Darren. And for those that just tuned us in, Vernon Adams was traded from BC to Calgary today. Nobody should be surprised by that, is my point.
No. I mean, good on Calgary for acting quick. I think they deserve a lot of credit here for acting fast, getting the guy they want, going after it, and making it happen. You know, you say, and you talk about this when it comes to coaches. Why do you got to go through the pageantry? If you know who you want, go after them, make an offer, get the guy you want, you know? And it sounds like, just watching this from the outside, so Calgary did. At least that's how it appears to me. They said, hey, Vernon Adams is getting traded. We would love to have him here. Let's go make it happen before anybody else jumps in the pool. And they did.
Great commentary. I'll say it again. I talked for Jay McNeil, not for a long time, but a significant chat, a deep chat, the president of the Stampeders at Grey Cup, and he's not screwing around. So all this yapping about the player, ex-Stamps players, saying it's a bad place to be, the franchise is on the decline, is nothing more than the kids in the back of the station wagon yapping on a long road trip. After you told them to shut up for the 10th time and they still don't, you just start to ignore them. Because in one fell swoop, they acquire Vernon Adams and all of a sudden they're a contender and everybody shut their mouth. So that's all. I don't have time for the meaningless speculation is the point. We'll talk about what matters, and this is that. Okay, Moose, looks like you're done. Oh, quick breakaway bets. There's only 2 games.
Breakaway bets, 2 games.
Boston tonight. Yeah, Vancouver, Boston. Who wins? Perfect. I got the Bruins and Utah at Montreal.
Give me Utah.
Perfect. I'll take Les Bleu Blanc Rouge. Au revoir, mon chéri.
Good luck.
Sean Hogan. Bon chance. Sean Hogan coming in next from College Hockey Inc. Je t'aime, Francais. We're live on Game Plus Television. Streaming live on YouTube. And, of course, podcasts wherever you enjoy your podcast.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Our pre-show continues on a Tuesday, brought to you in part by Culligan Water. Clear water, clear choice. Filter out the bad and taste the good. Culligan Water of Regina. Check him out at culliganregina.com. Breaking news from the Canadian Football League today. Vernon Adams Jr. dealt from the BC Lions to the Calgary Stampeders. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in. He says, I'm joining late and just getting word this is the most significant trade since Gretzky in 1988. Not really, but for you it is. Yeah, I understand. Okay, Sean Hogan joins us. He may or may not know that Regina is the hometown of Jason Hajdu, communications director, College Hockey Inc. Sean is the executive director. We're all a big family. How you doing, Sean?
Absolutely, yeah. Excited to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.
Buddy, thank you. We're excited to have you because producer Clark, myself, and Darren, the co-host, are huge junior hockey guys. We've got a lot of friends that have come through the college as well. And we've certainly got Canada's junior A and, frankly, major junior side of the NCAA's decision to now make all junior hockey players eligible, but have never really gotten the U.S. college side. Okay, and that's why we got you here today as the executive director of College Hockey Inc. Please, can you explain how monumental that decision was? What was it, about 6 weeks ago where they made that decision?
Yeah, I would say it's probably the most historic landscape change in college hockey history. Certainly, we've had new teams arrive and teams leave, but we've now opened up a pool of about 1,500 high-end players now available to play NCAA Division I hockey. And that certainly has a lot of ramifications across the board in our sport. The decision was made by the Division I Council, like you said, about 6 weeks ago. Sometimes we're asked, so this rule is only for Division I. CHL players are not eligible for NCAA Division III. The Division I Council really only has power to levy legislation for NCAA Division I. So huge landscape change in a variety of different capacities, but something that we're excited about in college hockey.
You should be. And we got a lot to unpack here. I'm trying to follow it closely, and what I think people need to understand is there's a lot of different perspectives. So I don't know that there's a right or a wrong answer other than to say this is a great thing for colleges, and I think it's a great thing for the players. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree. I think the big winners in all this are the players for sure. One of the things that we do at College Hockey Inc., we do a variety of things, but one of the things that we do is we're an education organization. We're out there in front of families and players all over North America, all over Western Canada. And what I picked up on in my 5 years at College Hockey Inc. is that there is a lot of anxiety at the age of like 14, 15, and 16 years old of the high-end hockey player. Prior to this legislation passing, young people had to make a decision at 14 or 15 years old, really that would impact the rest of their lives. What path they were going to take to the NHL? Were they going to play major junior hockey? Were they going to play college hockey? And that caused a lot of anxiety in families. This legislation takes that away. A player can play in the CHL, they can play in the BCHL, they can play in the AJHL. They can play really wherever they want on their road to the NHL. And they can make a decision of when college is right for them. And college hockey certainly has a place on the path as the top of the pyramid on the road to the NHL.
That's where it's multi-sided. I mean, I've worked in major junior 20 years. I've also worked in junior A. My dad was a scout in the NHL for 26 years. I've seen it from all sides. And I got to ask you this, Sean. Somebody said to me, a hockey guy last week, he goes, this is the way it should have always been. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. No, I absolutely agree. I mean, I came up through, I played college hockey at a low level, but I remember when I was 16, 17, 18 years old, this is back in the 90s, people were talking about these players should be eligible for college hockey. And they probably always should have been eligible for college hockey. When they made that legislation in the early 80s, it kind of unintentionally created a 2-track system on your road to the highest levels in the world. And now we have a streamed pipeline where players don't have to make a decision, and they can go make a decision at the appropriate timeline, right? They don't have to make a decision at 14 or 15. They can make a decision at 18, 19, or 20 years old if college hockey is right for them.
Well, as the executive director of College Hockey Inc., can you tell me why that legislation was brought? And it doesn't matter then. Why did it happen now? Why did they open the doors? Was it because of NIL that they're like, hey, players are making money anyways, so who cares if they make it in Canada before they get here?
So I think it's a little bit of everything, but what sped up this process, again, and you know this has been talked about for as long as any of us can remember. But what sped this up is there's a lot of litigation against the NCAA in the U.S., and the threat of that litigation has sped up this process. So if you were to ask me in August if I thought CHL players would be eligible this year, I would have said we're probably closer than ever. I don't foresee it happening in the immediate future. And then here we are in November, and CHL players are eligible. So what sped it up was litigation in the U.S. court system.
Interesting. So what does this mean for college hockey Division I rosters moving forward? And does Braxton Whitehead of the Regina Pats being the first ever CHL player to commit mean anything to you? Like, is that a benchmark, watermark day, or just another day?
Well, I think when we look back in history, him being the first CHL eligible player to commit will certainly be a landscape change and mark like you said. But I think overall what this means is essentially there's around 1,500 players in the CHL that are now eligible to be recruited in NCAA Division I. So what we've done is we've greatly increased the supply. And we still have a finite number of NCAA Division I teams. Part of what we do is try to create more NCAA Division I teams. So this is another tool in our tool shed to go out there and try to create more NCAA Division I teams. But I think it makes college hockey better. Perhaps it makes college hockey a little bit more Canadian. There is no import rule in college hockey. There's no roster limit on the number of Canadians you can have. You can have a 100% Canadian team if you want. In fact, 30% of NCAA Division I players, hockey players, are Canadian now. But it certainly elevates the level of play throughout all of NCAA Division I.
Where are you from, Don?
I live in East Lansing, Michigan. From Michigan originally.
Where are you from? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So I'm from East Lansing, Michigan. Originally from Michigan. Coached hockey all over the U.S. As far away as Wyoming and Arizona, but found my way back to Michigan. And raising a family here in East Lansing, Michigan, home of Michigan State University.
Yeah. I was trying to identify the accent. I wasn't having a lot of luck. Hacky. Michigan. Got it.
Midwestern accent is what it is.
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly. And I just want to listen. I could sit here and talk with you all day, but I'm wondering, can you address to the best of your ability this question? Because I had a scout say to me last week. He goes, "This changes the way we scout." Because he goes, "We would go to Brooks to watch Cale Makar, who, as you know, went on to win the Hobie Baker, and I just saw him here the other night. Colorado was here on Saturday." And we never really knew if he was that much better than everybody else in the AJ because he went college. And now that we don't have to worry about that distinction. Does that make sense to you? How would you address that comment?
Yeah, it absolutely does.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it absolutely changes the way people scout. I think the Tier 2 provincial junior leagues, they'll have to come up with a plan of where they fit in the development path. But now a player like Cale Makar, for example, doesn't have to make a decision. I think Medicine held his rights in the WHL, so he probably goes to Medicine Hat at 16, 17. And when he's ready for college hockey, he makes the step to college hockey on his road to the NHL. So I think that's what changes. Maybe perhaps you're not going as far and wide to a variety of different places. Everybody kind of falls into a pipeline, and you kind of figure out where players fit as they matriculate through that pipeline. But you're right; it absolutely does change the way that people will scout their players.
Hopefully for the scouts, it makes it easier. And lastly, you mentioned the mandate. You brushed on what the mandate of College Hockey Inc. is. Would you mind repeating or telling our audience what it is? They might find it interesting. I'm sure they would.
Yeah, I would say we do three important things. We do a variety of things, but three important things. We're the ones that are out there meeting with NCAA Division I athletic departments, trying to create more Division I hockey opportunities, men's and women's. We're dabbling in Division III, as well as even ACHA, non-varsity hockey. So we're out there trying to grow the college hockey landscape. We do a lot of research at College Hockey Inc. So if you're a player, a parent, an agent, an advisor uses our services, you have questions about how to play NCAA Division I hockey, the age at which things happen, where do players in your area play that on the road to NCAA Division I. We do that type of research, so we can give you the information that's suitable for where you're from. But really at our core, we're still that education organization. We're out there educating families interested in NCAA hockey and the rules and requirements that you need to meet to stay eligible. And one thing to note is we're 100% free 100% of the time. We're not out there trying to be your agent or be your advisor or charging you for this information. Our information is free and available for anybody that's interested.
Well said. And two things have become very clear to me. Number one, why you're the executive director, because you've said it very eloquently. And number two, why Jason Hajdu has included me now on your newsletter, and he's sending me all your information. Because down here in Florida, as a hockey guy, I think we can do some great things. Sean, thanks for coming on today, man, and congrats on this great news.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, man. Sean Hogan, the executive director of College Hockey Inc. We'll be right back with Overtime, sports update, and viewer takeover. We are live on the Game Plus television network, live streaming on YouTube and Facebook today. And, of course, podcasting wherever you enjoy your podcast.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors. There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life. Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Proudly brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Are you looking for just the right place for your team bonding sessions and outings? Office parties, birthdays, you name it. Look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. They are the hotbed for news here today. With state-of-the-art equipment, spacious shooting lanes, and games for all ages, Overtime Hockey Lanes is the perfect destination to build teams, whether they're from the Calgary area or if you're on a road trip from out of town. Book your lanes today, 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. So, to the news you can use. If it bleeds, it leads. The Calgary Stampeders have acquired quarterback Vernon Adams Jr. from the BC Lions. That happened today. Stampeders also received the Lions' fourth-round selection in the 2025 CFL draft and a third-round pick in 2026. The Lions are getting Calgary's second and fourth picks next year and its second-round pick in 2026. Vernon Adams Jr., known as VA, Big Play VA, had a stellar start to the season for the Lions before sustaining a knee injury in an August 1st loss to Winnipeg. Canadian quarterback Nathan Rourke was signed shortly after that, and it was all downhill from there. Vernon Adams Jr. is now a Calgary Stampede. Meanwhile, traffic citations issued to Miami Dolphins star wide receiver Tyreek Hill after a September altercation with police have been dismissed after the charging officers didn't attend a court hearing. Tyreek's tickets for careless driving and failing to wear a seatbelt were dismissed after the Miami-Dade police officers failed to show up for the hearing. And here you go. For the Swifties out there, tourism body Destination Vancouver says Taylor Swift will bring an estimated $157 million economic dollars impact to the city next week, with the 3 final concert dates of the record-breaking Eras Tour. Destination Vancouver says the forecast includes $97 million in direct spending on items, including accommodation, food, and transport. It says the Eras Tour is expected to bring more than 150,000 Swifties to BC Place over the 3 shows from December 6th to the 8th and has resulted in more than 82,000 rooms booked across the region. Do we have a How about that?
How about that?
Andy. Yeah.
So
bigger than the Grey Cup. Bigger than everything. Taylor Swift. The sports update is brought to you by Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. They've got it all. Use promo code RP Show for 15% off at checkout. Visit them at seatgiant.ca, and also brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. I can't believe it's been a week already, I think, since I went to a movie. It's always a good day to go to a movie. That should be their slogan. I'm just banging out the slogans today. Get more of what you love with the Landmark Extras program, their rewards program at Landmark Cinemas. Free movies and concession items, invites to exclusive screenings, and more. There are 3 programs to choose from. Check them out at landmarkcinemas.com. Boom. I didn't spend nearly as much time on the poll question, which I would have liked today. It's brought to you by EMJ Marketing. Connect with thought leaders and industry experts through EMJ Marketing Speakers Bureau. Check them out at emjmarketing.com. And that is, they bring you our poll question daily. What kind of shape is the NHL in on today? Its 107th birthday. Better than ever? Same as always, or could be better? Mark, what would you vote on that? Yeah, he said all of us are positive. Clark said better than ever. I said better than ever. Darren said better than ever. Scott Laughlin said better than ever as well. Clark would like to vote for two things. You can't, Clark, but he'd like to. He'd like to vote for it. Could be better, but it's better than ever. And sure, you can always improve, but what I will tell you is it's the first league I ever loved. Like a lot of you, growing up watching Hockey Night in Canada and then got into the dub and then got into football later, into baseball before that. But NHL was the first league I ever loved. So I have a tough time seeing its faults, and in a lot of ways, I don't even acknowledge them. Darcy in Grand Prairie writes in, and he says, here come the Stamps. Yeah, all of a sudden, they're contenders. So it doesn't matter what these nincompoops like Kadeem Carey have to say. Chad in Lethbridge writes in, he says, the NHL is better. It's the best it's ever been. Only thing better would be an all-Canadian division. Oh, I agree. He says, I can't stand NBA load management. You're paid millions of dollars. You damn well better play. Dave in Niagara Falls, Ontario writes in, he says, hello, Rod and Darren. I do favorite a lot of your guys' things on Twitter. Go Argos. All I'm saying is I just got a lot of people down my throat about, can you share this? Can you collaborate on this? Can you do this? I'm just back off. I'll get to it when I get to it. Maybe. And it's the people that ask you to share that don't even know that we have social media accounts. I don't get it. We got through it. VA, welcome to Calgary. We'll see you all tomorrow, noon Eastern, right here.